You are welcome to the Rock Fashion and Beauty. Today I'll be cutting a straight skirt and elastic at the band. So I just want you to stay tuned and watch to the end. I thank all my subscribers. Please don't forget to subscribe if you have not yet subscribed. Just press the subscribe button and press on the red button so that anytime I upload, you'll be given a notification. Thank you. Stay tuned. Getting to work now. The measurement I'll be working with is waist 28 inches, hip 38 inches, and the skirt length will be 27 inches. So to start with, I will take the length of my skirt. At the hem, here I will be making use of 1 inch. I want a thin hem. It's going to have a vent, so I'll be making use of 1 inch. Then from the 1 inch that I mark here, I will take up my 25 inches, which is the skirt length. I folded my dress, the clothes, with the largest measurement that I'm using, largest circumference, which is the hip measurement. So on this band, I'm going to add 1.5 inches as a seam allowance for the band. So I'm cutting on the front first. Then this is the top and this is the hem. So from here, I'm going to impute the waist measurement. The waist measurement is 28 inches. 28 divided by 4. I'm having 27 inches. But because I want it to have an elastic, so I'll just be imputing 1 inch extra. Sorry, 28 divided by 4, that is 7 inches. So I'll impute my 7 inches. And because it's going to have an elastic, I'm going to add just 1 inch extra. It will have an elastic and zip at the back. So I'm going to add 1 inch extra so that by the time I put the elastic, it won't be too tight. Then I will take my hip point. The hip point I'm using is 9 inches. Starting from the body's line, not the seam allowance. I have the skirt line here. So starting from the skirt line, if you look at, I hope you can see properly, I have 2 lines here, the seam allowance and the skirt line. So starting from this skirt line, I'm going to measure 9 inches down for the hip point. Now on this hip point, I'm going to input the hip measurement. I said I'm working with hip 38. 38, I'm going to divide it by 2 because I'm not going to share the back hip with the front hip equally. I want a bit different because the boot makes the back hip bigger than the front hip. So on the front hip, I'm going to divide the hip measurement by 2 first, which is 38 divided by 2. I have 19. From 19, I will deduct 1. That one that I deduct, I'm going to add it to the back pattern. So I have 9 inches for the front hip measurement, 9 inches plus 1 inch seam allowance. I'm using just 1 inch seam allowance for the skirt. Then I'm going to take it down from there. I will take it down because it's a short skirt. So I will just take it down to 17 inches from the skirt line. I'll measure down 17 inches. That is above the nail measurement. That will fall above the nail. So on that 17 inches that I measured here, whatever I have on this hip line, including the seam allowance, everything I have here is 10. So whatever I have here, I will deduct 1 from it and mark it on the line that I make here, the above nail line. So I have 10 here. On this line, I'm going to mark out 9. Then these 9 inches, I will take it down to the hem. So the next thing now, I'm going to draw out all the points that I've made. Please, I just need to recheck this so that there won't be a mistake. I remember that I don't have a seam allowance here. On the hip, I have 9 and 1 inch seam allowance. Then on the waist, I'm supposed to have 7 here, 1 inch for the ease on the waistline, and 1 inch for the seam allowance. That will be 9 altogether. So 1 inch seam allowance, 7 inches, 1 inch seam allowance, and 1 inch ease allowance. So I'll just redraw. It's better you check and recheck when you are marking your dress to avoid mistake, because once you cut, you won't be able to amend any mistake. So I can just recheck. I'm expected to have 9 here, 7 plus 1 inch for ease allowance and 1 inch for seam allowance. That is 9. Then on the hip line, you have 10. 9 plus 1 seam allowance, that is 10. Then on the above nail, I will have 9 inches. So everything is perfect now. The first thing I'll do is I'll cut here. So after cutting here, I need to fold it in. I will fold the seam allowance in. You remember there was a seam allowance there. So let me just cut this a little bit so that it will be easier for me to fold. I will fold the seam allowance in this way. So after folding the seam allowance in, then I will cut from the hem. So now this is my front pattern for the skirt. So with this, I'm going to draw out the back pattern and also cut the back from this. Now I've folded my materials for the back. So let me just cut this excess off so that you'll be able to see properly. And I just fold with what I'm left with. So at this point, I folded with what I'm left with. The vent cannot be too much. So it will only bring out the beauty of the dress. And I make sure that what I'm folding is what I want. I'm working with a pattern dress. I'm also trying to make sure that the pattern aligns properly. So at this point, I'm going to mark out the back. First, I will draw the hem line for the skirts. I will recheck to make sure that what is here, 28, is what is here. Exactly what I wanted. Then, on the waist, I will add a dart allowance at the waist. So, you know, I'll be adding one to the hip. So, because I'm adding one to the hip, I need to add a dart allowance to the waist. So, I won't be adding, I did not add any dart allowance to the front, but I need to add 1 inch to the waist as that allowance. It depends. I may take the dart and I may not take the dart. I may take the dart if I want it more fitted, and I may not take the dart since elastic is going to be there. But I don't want a situation where it will be bulky at the upper hip part of the hip. There are times when you use elastic. If I did not take the dart, because of the elastic, this place will be bulky somehow. So in order to reduce the bulkiness here, I'm going to take the dart by the time I'm sewing. Then I will add 1 inch seam allowance. So that 1 inch seam allowance will also serve as the zipper allowance. Then on the hip line, from the end line to the hip line here, I'm having 10.75. So here I'm going to take 10.75 also. Now on this 10.75, I'm going to add the 1 inch that I removed from the hip line. So I will add the 1 inch that I removed the other time. I will return it. Then the 1 inch for seam allowance, I will also return it. And from the end line to the upper nail line, I'm having 18.75 inches. So from here, I will take 18.75 inches as well. So on this 18.75 inches, I'm going to draw your line down. I will draw this line down like so. So the next thing is, I'm just going to take 1 inch. On this line, which is the upper nail line, I'm going to take 1 inch seam allowance. Just 1 inch seam allowance. Then I'm going to join all the points. I'm going to join the point here and the point here plus the point here. The next thing now is for me to cut. Now I'll be cutting this way. This is my back pattern. Then here, because this is where my seam will be, so here I'm going to notch this place because I'm going to be folding the vent to align to this place. That is why I'm notching this place. So the next thing I will do now is I'm going to cut the lining. I want a lining for it, but it won't be a full lining. I'm going to cut a short lining for it and then take it to the machine. I'm going to run a stitch down to this place, to the upper nail line where I want the opening to start from. So I will just run a stitch there, back stitch properly so that it will not loose here. So after back stitching, I will run a loose stitch down to this place so that it will be easier for me to iron out the vent. So I've joined the lining with it. I've joined it straight down. From here, from the hem here to where I want the zip to reach, I run a loose stitch because I'm still going to lose it back. Then I run a normal stitch from here to here. From here again to this place, I run from here again to this place, I run a loose stitch because I'm still going to lose it again to make my work easier. So after that, I told you the other time that I used what I'm having. So for the length, what I'm able to have for my vent is 7 inches. Now, after running down the stitch, the next thing is I notch this place. I've done that. I notch this place and I open it up. I allow this place to meet with the line, with the seam that I've run down. Then this place also meets with the seam here, and I ironed flat. So after doing that, the next thing is I will throw this side like this. This place, I can also notch it, and I will also notch this place. Then this notch, I will bring it to this place like so. Let me pin this down, and I will pin this down. So I'll bring this notch, I'll bring it to this place where the first notch is. I'll place it on the first notch. Then I'll remove my pin and pin it down. Then the same thing, I will do the same thing to this place. I will bring it to the first notch. I will remove my pin and pin it down. So I'm going to give it a good press. Then I can push it to this side. If I don't want it, if I want my stitch here to be wide, I can leave it this way after ironing. But if I still want it to be thin, to be tiny, then I will notch this place, these two, just the same way. I will notch these two like so. And I will also open this one up, bring the notch to this notch, align the notch together. Align the notch together, iron it down, then press it this way. Then I will do the same thing to this one. So by the time I finish it, all this will be on this side. Then I will do the same thing to the other side. You see, I fold it just the way I explained the other time, and I've ironed it. Now the next thing is if you turn it and I've loosed that loose stitch, I've removed that loose stitch that I made the other time. So when you open it, this is what you are expected to have, and when you release it, it is expected to be closed like this. Now the next thing, I'm going to place the front on the back like so. So I'm going to join this side with 1 inch. Then I will join this side also with 1 inch. I told you that I'll be taking the dart. I've taken the dart, and after taking the dart, I folded out the same allowance and iron it out. I folded out the same allowance and I ironed it out. After I ironed it out, then I take an elastic, 1 inch elastic of 4.25 inches long. I cut 2 of these. Then I open up the seam allowance on the band, not on the skirt, on the band. I place the elastic on the seam here, then I sew it down at the edge here where it stops. Then I'm going to pull this side also to the hem. I'm going to put the seam on the hem. Then I will also put it, I will also find where it stops, and I'm going to sew it down here. I will make sure I push it back, leaving 1 inch at ½ inch, with which I'm going to sew it. I'm going to sew the band down to the skirt. Then I will do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to place the elastic on the hem like this, leaving ½ inch for fixing the band. So I'm going to place the elastic like this, where the elastic stops just before the that's where I'm going to run my stitch. I'll be leaving just like 2.5 inches seam allowance there. Then I'm going to pull to the other side of the seam. Also, I'm going to pull to the other side of the seam. Place my elastic as well, and look at where it stops. Where it stops on the other side, I'm also going to sew it down this way. So after doing that, I will just push back the band like so, and I will run stitch around the skirt. Then I will also run stitch around the hem. This is the finishing look of my skirt. You can see the band there. I've fixed the elastic and I've taped the hem. I've fixed the seam, and here we have the vent at the back. Very, very simple. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not subscribed. Press the like button. Give me thumbs up. I love you.